Welcome back. We've had a really good week. We actually managed to find ourselves an LPG gas plumber. So we've had someone called Paul with us for a couple of days last week, and this is what he's got up to. If you've been following us for a while, you'll know we've had a hard time finding a plumber to finish our cabin. We needed someone with a specialist caravan certificate for LPG gas, and someone willing to step in and fix the work we'd already paid for, which unfortunately wasn't done properly. So a special thank you to Paul for taking on the task. He started off by setting up our boiler ready to be hung on the wall, drilling through the countertop where the copper pipe for the hot water and the heating would go. Once the boiler was on the wall, he started the process of wiring it up to electric with our smart thermostat we've opted for. Even though our cabin is a small space, there's still a lot of work that goes into fitting a boiler and heating system, just the same as a full-size house. It was great to see all the pipe bending and neat layout of the pipes. We didn't make it easy for him having to work in the corner cupboard. Next he installed our gas hob and then started work on our gas storage locker. For the cabin, we've gone for the Combi LPG gas analog burner, which gives us plenty of options for heating the space and our hot water. There's a lot of safety regulations you have to follow when using gas. Our bottles need to be chained into the gas locker and the gas locker bolted down to the concrete to avoid any possibility of the bottles being able to fall over. He checked the positioning of the bottles before attaching the bottle chains and safety label. So that's what Paul's managed to do, fitting our main LPG gas bits in the cabin. So the next job that he's got, which I'm not really envying him doing, is working in our bathroom. We had 4 plumbing companies come out to quote, obviously carrying on the job, and all 4 of those companies, once they looked in the bathroom, they all flagged to us very quickly that they weren't happy with how the shower boards, so the stuff that's on the walls in the bathroom, was done. The main issue being that they don't believe that any of it is waterproof. So the boards that we went with, they're called FIBO boards. They are probably one of the most expensive options you can go for in your bathroom. They have kind of like a system of tongue and groove where you fully glue the boards together. They get attached to the wall with special trims and things in the corner, and then you essentially get like a 100% waterproof room, and it's got like a 20-year warranty and things like that. They all flagged that, especially like our shower area, is definitely not waterproof. So even though we were looking forward to just having the boiler in and having the shower and things, they've all flagged that that isn't straightforward and that there's going to have to be a lot of work done. So some of them mentioned that they could literally just go to town with silicones and things and sort of patch the issue, but none of them really wanted to do that. So we've decided with Paul that Paul's actually going to remove all of these shower boards. So it's quite annoying really, because obviously we've paid someone to come in and do this job. I didn't do the job myself because these boards cost us, I think, £1,600 or £1,800, and that was getting like a really good price on them. And I didn't trust myself to cut them and install them. So obviously we hired someone to do so, and obviously they didn't do a great job. So now Paul's going to be having the horrible job of obviously taking all these out, cleaning the boards, trying not to damage them, and then putting them all back in before we can actually get our shower and stuff going. So yeah, big job for him, but really excited to actually have the shower room done. Yeah, so also the radiator has been hung just into the FIBO board, which is 11mm ply, not into the stud work of the building. So if you imagine this radiator full of water, it's going to be very heavy, and that might be okay to some people, but the board isn't really secure. So this is how unsecure it is. You'll see the movement up here.
Yeah, the whole wall is moving.
So obviously the radiator is going to come off, all this is going to be redone, and then we should have a nice solid structure to put the radiator on. First Paul took out the vanity unit, mirror and the toilet so we could start removing the shower boards. He numbered everything so it could all go back in the same order. Once he started removing the boards, we quickly realised just how bad they'd been previously fitted, and there was no glue on any of the seams like there was meant to be. This means they were 100% not waterproof, and our shower area would have leaked instantly.
No glue on the end.
That's bonkers, the fact there's none on the trim.
None. Like literally none on this one.
So these are the corners and the trims that should be glued, which stops the water seeping into the boards, and as you can see there is zero glue on them. This would have voided the warranty from where we'd bought them, as it hadn't been fitted correctly. Next he removed our shower tray to check it over, and it's a good job that he did, as the silicone seal had already failed due to some loose timber supports that had been put in. So this would have been another area that would have been leaking water. Paul recommended this butyl rubber seal that he likes to fit to all shower trays as a layering system. It's a backup to the silicone that'll go in the shower. This is a secondary seal and another fail-safe to keep water out of the areas it's not supposed to be. We had to buy a few new shower boards as the previous fitters had cut the old ones too short for the space, leaving more room for leaking, so Paul got to work cutting the new boards down to size. Then he was ready to reinstall them, this time adding plenty of adhesive and screws to give a solid finish and keep our warranty with the board manufacturer. Paul then refitted the shower tray before assembling and sealing the shower screen. He reinstalled the radiator, thankfully into some solid timber supports this time. He got the water connected and started testing the taps and the wastes, which was surreal to see happening.
Alright, it's on.
Our first flushing toilet ever on the land. Then he double checked all the fittings on the radiators were tight and then filled up the system. Then it was time to test the gas lines for any leaks with this little device before lighting the gas hob for the first time and firing up the boiler to commission it.
Fire!
So it's been a couple of days now since Paul finished the bathroom for us, and yeah, we're really happy with how it's come out. It's been nearly 10 months since we had someone else start on this bathroom, and yeah, we couldn't get them to come back to finish the work or finish the bathroom, so we were a little bit stuck. So we asked for some recommendations, and Chris from the Coal Bunker, just want to say thank you to him for putting us in touch with Stuart Thomas Plumbing Services. He came to have a look at what was done here, and then he bought his guy Paul, who had all the right caravan certificates for LPG gas, and Paul was willing to actually come here and fix someone else's mess. And really, in a way, we're kind of happy because we've ended up, I think, with a much better bathroom than what the first guys would have done. So yeah, really happy with it. If you didn't know, we have been living on the land for 3 years using a cassette caravan toilet, which involves manually emptying that every couple of days. So this is our first flushing toilet, which is crazy to us. I think a lot of people obviously take that for granted, and we've also got running water in here. So yeah, really happy that this is our new living situation.
And this is the bit we're most excited for, an indoor shower. So we've been showering outside ever since we moved onto the land, in the wind and the rain. And now it's got to winter, because I'm training for my first marathon. I've had no motivation to want to run because I don't want to shower outside. So this is going to be such a game changer. I actually did a 10-mile race on the weekend through Pembrey, which was through the woods and out onto the beach, which was amazing. And it was just so nice being able to have an indoor hot shower afterwards. And another game changer as well as the shower, for my run I ran with a vest, which I had my water bladder in the back, and I had my Holy hydration electrolytes in there. The pineapple one's my favourite. And I just want to say a special thank you to Holy for sponsoring today's video. If you're new to Holy, they make powdered drinks you mix with water, a smarter, more sustainable alternative to cans. They've got 3 main ranges: Hydration, which I use for all my long runs, packed with electrolytes and minerals; Energy, which is John's go-to, powered by Nucaf for a smooth 4-hour caffeine release; and their iced teas made with real tea, vitamin C, antioxidants and 0 sugar. If you've never tried Holy, their deluxe starter set are a great place to start because it gives you a bit of everything so you can figure out what you like first before trying one of their bigger tubs. And now's the perfect time to order because they've got an amazing Black Friday sale where you can get £10 off their deluxe starter kit and an extra £5 off with our code COW5. So just head to the link in our description if you'd like to give Holy a try and make the most of their amazing Black Friday sale. Thanks again to Holy for sponsoring today's video and supporting my marathon training.
So I'm just getting some tools together. I've actually booked myself onto a hedge laying course. So this is something that I've wanted to do for ages and just keep putting it off. But winter's come around again and the hedge laying season is in full swing. So I've actually booked onto a course with someone called Paul Lamb. So I'm going to the Gower tomorrow, and even though the course provides you all the tools and stuff you want, he said if you want to bring your own, you can. So I'm packing my pruning saw. What else have I got? Yeah, I've got some gloves, and this is the cool part. So Emilie's grandmother Joan actually gifted this to me last year. This is a bill hook made by a company called Perks. It's a 1941 Perks. So this is a vintage tool, and yeah, I'd love to use this for when time comes to actually lay our own hedges. So you've seen last winter that we we planted some trees last winter. So in 5, 6, 7 years time, when those trees are a bit more mature, my plan is what I learn on the course tomorrow I'll be putting into effect on the land and actually building some really nice I guess stock proof hedges, so then when our stock fence kind of comes to the end of its life, all those wooden posts, we should hopefully have our own decent fence to keep Maggie and other livestock in. So obviously this is quite an old tool. It's not super sharp, I mean it's not super dull either, but before the course I'm going to give it a good sharpen. So yeah, going to give that a go now. Right, that's as good as I can get it. Feels pretty sharp there. It's quite hard to get this section sharp, I find. I'll give it a good clean, bit of an oil in, and it's good to go. The next morning I set off early to cross the county border and head over onto the Gower for today's hedge laying course. Right, I've made it out onto the Gower. Forgot, obviously there's a rush hour to go through, so made it here. I left plenty of time. I got 10 minutes now to wait until everyone's supposed to arrive for the course. But as you can see behind me and on some of the footage of the drive, it is literally a beautiful day. And yeah, that'll make the whole thing a lot nicer, so I'm not all steaming up in the rain. So yeah, I'll take you with me now throughout the day, and yeah, we'll just see what I can capture of the day. The course was held at a beautiful small holding called Cliff Acre. I was greeted by Paul and Liz and Callie the dog, and I met Alex, who was also doing the course with me. We headed out to the hedge we were going to be working on, and Paul gave us a demonstration of the basic principles of pleaching and laying a hedge. First he started showing us how we do the pleaching cut, where you're essentially cutting through majority of the stem of the tree, but leaving enough that it stays alive.
It's almost as if I'm trying to cut it down. You know, a lot of people are sort of doing this because they're trying to do this long cut and they're shaving it. But I want that split to be forward. But now if I work on that,
Paul finished up showing us how he cuts off the heel left from laying the stem. Then it was our turn to give it a go.
So when you have, for example, this is my land, that's your land, and if your
There's definitely a knack to using the bill hook. It's very different to an axe or any other tools I've used, but me and Alex quickly got the hang of it and got into a good rhythm.
I'm a bit of a beast, that one.
Yeah. There you are.
Very much.
Cup of tea.
Paul then showed us how he tackled bigger trees with the chainsaw and said in a more commercial setting that people tend to do this method over the bill hook because it's quicker.
Get it to peel away.
Once we'd laid our section, Paul showed us how to make hazel stakes using an axe and a block. These are to give strength to the laid hedge. These aren't always used, but this hedge is being laid in the Welsh border style that has stakes as well as a top binder for strength. With the Welsh border style, these stakes go in at about a 35-degree angle, opposite the direction the hedge has been laid.
They're over by the...
The hedge we were working on is mainly hawthorn, which made everything a bit tougher as you're fighting all the spiky thorns. Definitely went home with a load in my hands and my knees, which were really fun to dig out. After staking the hedge, we learnt about the hazel binding. Paul had set us up a jig for us to get the hang of it before giving it a go on the thorny hedge. The binding along with the stakes means the laid hedge can be compressed down and it makes it so much stronger, but it also looks beautiful. The last job was just trimming and tidying up the hedge with some shears. As well as making it look good, all these cuts on the hedge actually promote new growth and brings new life to the hedge. The whole process of laying a hedge brings new life to the trees, making them grow denser with foliage to create less gaps from the ground up. And it makes them more of a barrier for keeping livestock in, better for protection from wind, and more of a haven for wildlife, which is why hedges are so important in the first place. So this is the final outcome of the laid hedge. Such a transformation, and I can't wait to come back next year to see the regrowth and the hedge in bloom. On our lunch break, Paul showed us some old overstood hedges that he'd laid last season. This gave me some ideas of what I could do to the old hedge at the front of our property. It looks brutal, but you could see all the new shoots of regrowth coming through and the life coming back to these old trees. This style of hedge laying is more the Gower or Devon style, and less regimented than the hedge we've been working on that day, without the stakes and the binders, but works on the same idea that pleaching and laying the stems of the trees brings new life to them and making the trees healthier.
There
you go. I couldn't resist asking Paul for a look around his tiny home on wheels. If you follow Paul online, you'll have seen this beautiful old Bedford wagon before. He's lived in it for years and it's recently had a bit of a glow up, and it's such an amazing space with so much light from all the windows. This is where he's wrote his book, which is on my Christmas list. Alex bought a Polaroid land camera with him to take a portrait of Paul, and it turned out amazing.
Oh, yes. Look at that.
So I'm back on the land. I really enjoyed yesterday's hedge laying course and really enjoyed meeting Paul. Super nice guy. I've been following him on Instagram, I think for nearly 2 years now, as the West Country hedge layer, and my dad's a big fan, so I'm sure my dad would love to see what we got up to. But since getting back to the land, I've been walking around eyeing up things to pleach and lay over, because we've got quite old kind of, I'm guessing originally they were laid out as hedges, but they're now just overstood, almost getting into trees. So we've got some projects to do on the land to improve what we've got. But I'd be really interested if you're watching this and you've taken on properties or farms, small holdings, something like this, where you've sort of inherited or bought in to these overstood hedges and what you've done with them. So if you've got pictures and examples of what you've done, because obviously we want to just, you know, improve the land, get the hedges back to where they should be, just for the wildlife, and obviously, like we said, like stock proofing the land. So if you've got pictures or examples, we've got our email below. If you want to send them over, we'd love to see that. But yeah, really enjoyed the course yesterday and can't wait now to use those skills on the land going forward. Some other news that we've got. So Emilie's been working hard on a new YouTube channel. It's called Homestead in the West. We're going to share a link on the screen at the end of the video if you want to go and check that out. But it's where she's sharing her sort of passions and projects on the land, which aren't sort of necessarily building the home or our campsite on the land. So the first video is live. It's a really interesting video if you want to go and check that out. Next week we've got a special episode we've been working on where we're actually going to reveal the cost of the cabin build. So it's got to the point where the cabin is habitable. Obviously you've seen us have our water and electric now, and we've got the bed and everything set up. So we thought now is a good time to talk through what we spent on the cabin, just to give sort of transparency to everyone, and also to give people, if you're interested in building something similar, an idea of what it's going to cost you. So look forward to that. But that's the end of the video, and thanks for watching.